November 26, 2025. The capital of a G7 nation. A man is evacuating his home during the first major freeze of the winter. He is not running from a fire. He is not running from a war zone. He is running from a building owned by the Government of Canada, designated to house its heroes.
Voice rasping. They sold it to me as a sanctuary. Grade 1 heritage. It's a biohazard zone. If I stay there another night, the sepsis will get me, or the cold will. I'm evacuating my own country's housing. It's 3:30 a.m. I can't sleep. If I turn the lights off, they swarm. This is what they give a disabled veteran. They are eating me alive.
Kale Gerard is 78% disabled, a survivor of the LGBT purge, a veteran. If you look at his file number, K5195839, you see a liability, a cost center for Veterans Affairs.
I have pensioned severe dermatitis, 4/5 coverage. I am an open wound living in a bug infestation, and I have Brugada syndrome. It's a genetic heart defect, sudden cardiac death triggered by stress and lack of sleep. The vermin kept me awake for 3 years. They weren't housing me, they were slowly killing me.
But if you look past the file number, if you look at his blood, you see the history of the Western world. You see a crime that has been running for 300 years.
They treat me like a ward of the state, like I'm looking for a handout. I'm not asking for their money. I'm asking for my money, the equity they stole over 3 centuries. You want to know the logical truth of why I am here? It's because I represent a debt they can never repay.
The line begins at the apex of European power, the Capetian dynasty, King Philip IV of France, the man who destroyed the Knights Templar, the blood of absolute monarchy. By the early 1600s, that blood flows into Prince Thomas Francis of Savoy. His mother is a granddaughter of the King of France. His first cousin is King Philip IV of Spain. Thomas is a titan of the 30 Years' War, a man of immense power and connection.
Princes have secrets, and sometimes those secrets are sent far away to build new empires.
Around 1621, a child is born, François Savoy. The historical consensus points to him being the natural son of Prince Thomas Francis, an illegitimate prince. In Europe, a threat to the succession. In the New World, a pioneer. François arrives in Acadia. He is exiled from his titles, but he brings the blood, and he marries into the true royalty of the land. The Gerard line intermarries with the descendants of Grand Chief Membertou, the spiritual and political leader of the Mi'kmaq nation.
Do you understand the synthesis? On one side, the divine right of kings. On the other, Membertou, the inherent right of the land. I am the biological treaty. I am a son of the settlement. I don't just live here, I am here. To understand why I am starving in 2025, you have to understand the scale of what my family had in 1625. We weren't peasants. We operated at the highest level of global finance. My grandmother was a Boudreau. That name means Acadian aristocracy. But go back further. Look at the cousins.
Havana, 1622. The flagship of the Spanish fleet, the Atocha, is preparing to sail. It took 4 months just to load the boat. Think about that scale. 4 months of men carrying gold, silver, copper, and emeralds. 40 tons of treasure.
That gold belonged to King Philip IV of Spain. He was the first cousin of my ancestor, Prince Thomas Francis. They sat at the same tables. That was the family business.
In one night, the Old World branch of the family lost $1 billion to the sea.
While the Spanish cousins were losing gold in the ocean, my branch, the Savoy and the Boudreaux line, was securing the real treasure in the New World. The land. The gold sank, but the land remained. My grandmother's people, the Boudreaux, they built an agricultural empire in Acadia that was worth more than the Atocha. They turned swamps into bread baskets. They were the landed gentry of North America. The hurricane took the Spanish gold, but the British crown took the Acadian land. They stole the Atocha of the north.
By 1750, the Girard, Savoy, and Boudreaux clans held massive tracts of the most valuable farmland on the continent. They were prosperous, independent, and neutral, and the British wanted it all. Le Grand Dérangement, the Great Upheaval. It wasn't just a deportation, it was a heist.
The order from Governor Lawrence was ruthless. Seize the cattle, seize the land, burn the structures so they cannot return, and most importantly, they destroyed the records. They burned the churches where the baptismal and land registry records were kept. Why? If you erase the records, you erase the ownership claim. It was a deliberate strategic attempt to turn landed aristocrats into stateless refugees.
That was the moment. 1755. That's when my family went from being the lords of this land to being ghosts. The generational wealth, the provisions my ancestors left for their heirs, was stolen at gunpoint. The government of Canada is the legally recognized successor to that crown. They are holding stolen goods, and now they hold me.
270 years after the expulsion, the heir returned to the crown for help, and the crown put him in a death trap.
They knew I had Brugada. They knew stress triggers cardiac arrest, and they left me in a room with bed bugs that were feeding on my open wounds. That is biochemical assault.
In under 3 years, Kyle Girard witnessed over 10 unexpected deaths of fellow residents in that heritage facility.
They dropped like flies. Good men. Gone. And VAC refuses to call it a cluster. They refuse to investigate the environment. Because of my lineage, the member 2 seer blood, I could feel the death in that place. I knew I was next. That's why I ran into the snow.
This is the supreme irony. While Veterans Affairs was treating Kyle Girard like a discarded liability to be managed, Kyle Girard was trying to save the country.
This isn't a hobby. This is a unified field model. It's a new way for AI to perceive physical reality. Symbiotic execution. Project Monolith. Arctic sovereignty. The Russians and Chinese are mapping the north right now. How do we protect it when the ice melts? Not with more ships we can't build. With sensor arrays based on my patent. Quantum defense. I'm a level 5 strategic asset. A patent holder. An innovator. And they have me trapped in level 1 survival mode, fighting off bugs and freezing to death. It's national sabotage.
Kyle has a plan. The Unified Winterization Proposal, a $250,000 injection to secure this property.
It's not a renovation grant for a cottage. It's vocational rehabilitation infrastructure. I need heat. I need power. I need a secure environment to house the CSICR Institute, my R&D hub. You stabilize my housing, you bring the patent online, you bring the D&D projects online. You asked for the truth. The logical truth of why I am here. Theft number 1, the erasure of my ancestors' royal status in the 1600s, exiled to hide the bloodline. Theft number 2, the 1755 expulsion. The crown confiscated the Akkadian Empire, my grandmother Boudreaux's birthright, and burned the records to cover their tracks. 40 tons of gold lost at sea, an entire nation lost on land. Theft number 3, the present day. VAC taking my dignity, my health, destroying my personal assets in a biohazard facility, and blocking my contribution to this country's defense. I am not a debtor asking for help. I am a creditor coming to collect. Canada is operating on stolen equity. My equity. My ancestors tamed the tides. They built empires. They survived exile. I will not die in a bug-infested room waiting for a bureaucrat's permission to exist. Stop fighting the veteran. Stop fighting the bloodline. Fund the infrastructure. And let me start fighting for the future.